Hello everyone, this is Tacos53 and I want to make a short guide on how to get into Path of Exile 2. I know the game is a bit overwhelming when you start out, although there is a lot of help from the developers giving a good introduction to the game, but I think it's not enough, and I want to give you a more in-depth guide for beginners. If you know what you're doing already, this video is probably not for you, but if you're really lost and need some head start on what to do and how to progress, I think this video might be for you. So I want to introduce myself shortly. I'm Tacos53. I am a PoE 1 enthusiast. I really love the game. I have roughly 2000 hours, so I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit, even though you cannot really say I know a lot. 2000 hours is not that much in the game, but I think it should still be enough to give you enough information about how to progress in this game. So first of all, I want to talk about some terminology and important currencies. Therefore, we have a stash, and inside the stash we have multiple stash tabs, and we can fill them with items. And here we have a currency stash tab, so I'm gonna start off with the currency. So a lot of starter currency is gonna be Orb of Transmutations and Orb of Augmentations. You will need them the whole time. And also you will find some Regal Orbs and some Exalted Orbs. The rest is honestly not that important to begin with. There is multiple types of items: white, magic, and rare items. And what we want is usually rare items, just like this one. I'm using a cold spells, so I want everything which has to do with cold, and this is a rare item. Every item has prefixes and suffixes. They're visible on the left side. You can have a maximum of 3 prefixes, a maximum of 3 suffixes, so one item can have 6 prefix and suffixes. And to create an item like this, we firstly need to drop the item somewhere on the map. So for demonstration purposes, I will get a random item here. So I went to the other vendor. We have a life flask, which is white. Everything can get blue, and not everything can get yellow. Like life flasks, they cannot become rare items. So we're just gonna buy this life flask so I can show you what we can do with the currencies. So first off, we have transmutations. This upgrades a white or normal item to a magic item with 1 modifier. So we can right click this and left click on this, and it gives a stat. And a blue item can have 1 prefix and 1 suffix. So what we can do right now is also use an augmentation. It augments a magic item with a new random modifier, so which means it will add a suffix here, because we have a prefix right here. So we click, and now we have a prefix and we have a suffix. Now we can also have yellow items. We can use, for instance, any item here for demonstration purposes. We really like this stun build up, and we want to upgrade this. We see it has 1 suffix, so what we can do is gamble, do an augmentation on it, and now we have physical damage also on it. Imagine we are a physical warrior type of guy, so this is really nice. And then there is a regal. We can use this to make a rare item out of it. So now it's rare, it's yellow, and now it has 2 suffixes and 1 prefix. Now we can further always, we can upgrade it until 3 prefix and 3 suffix with Exalted Orbs. It augments a rare item with a new random modifier. So we can just put this on, and it will have 4 mods, 5 mods, 6 mods. But then also Exalteds right now are the main currency of the game, so you don't really want to waste them. So this is for the currencies you really need to know. That's all of it. And the rest, obviously, they have some use, but you don't want to use them until a later point, so it really doesn't make sense to talk about an annulment or a chaos orb. I want to talk about some terminologies. There are some terms in Path of Exile which can be really confusing. So there is multiple types of damage we have. Things like that can be really confusing, right? So Path of Exile 2 is really helping with those terms. You can hover on them with the Alt key and then just read through what they're doing. So critical hit chance, there is hit chance for spells. Spells are not attacks, right? So then you're like, what are attacks? And there's a lot of things like that. Everything is pretty much covered in Path of Exile 2. I recommend you to read through these. The most important thing is you need to understand that some weapons might have, for instance, cold damage. Maybe we have some here, cold, fire, or lightning. So this adds 26 to 33 fire damage. And this fire damage, you would be thinking, hey, I can use this for my, I don't know, fireball. And fireball is a spell. How do you find this? We go use a skill gem, search for fireball, and fireball in the top here, it says it's a spell and a projectile, and it has area of effect and it's a fire damage. But it is a spell. And if we look at this bow again, this adds fire damage is for the weapon, for attacks, and not for spells. So this can be really confusing, and you need to understand which do I need, which do I not need. So just like this, elemental damage. Oh, you think elemental damage, my fire or cold skill can benefit from this, but it's with attacks. So this is very, very important. There is a lot of terminology which can be a bit confusing because it can mean multiple things. Now I'll just get into the next point. Some tips and tricks on item vendors. This is really important. When you start off the game, you're gonna be in Act 1 and you will need some weapons and some gear to start off. And to start off very well, there is some things you can do. So every time you level up, the vendors get new items. This is very important to know. So let's assume we are playing a minion build, and minions need minion skills and minion stats. So what we can do is there is filters we can write, like for instance rare means it will show us all the yellow items. Now this is a bow, obviously we don't need it, but then we have a chess piece, and as we can see it's like it has some life, it has resistances and whatnot. So it's really, really nice for us to maybe grab this, right? And then we also want minion things. So we can put a line in here, which means or, and type minion. So now this is rare, and these are rare. We have nothing with minions, but maybe we can make use of these. So I'm gonna copy this, go to another vendor. So you could maybe gamble. I don't really like gambling, but for minions we want scepters. We have Una, she sells something, and now we see scepters. And these scepters all don't have minion levels. This is not really nice for us, but we can also search for allies, and they all have something here which we can make use of. So flat damage is the best thing you can get, and this is flat damage, flat lightning damage. It really doesn't matter what kind of damage. I'm not gonna explain how minions work, but what they want is like flat damage and minion skills, right? So we can look here. There's allies here, there's allies here, here. I would maybe grab this. This is gonna be already a really good start for you. The same you can do for like, if you really want like spell damage or cold damage, you can spell or cold, and then you can see, look, this has spell damage, it has cast speed, this has spell damage, this has extra cold damage, right? So you can really, for every level up, go to the vendor and look, hey, is there something what I need? When do I vendor things, and when do I sell something, buy or sell, and when do I disenchant things? Let's take, for instance, any yellow item. So at the start, you don't have a lot of transmutation, augmentation, and no regals. And you need these three to get somewhat okay items, to make them all yellow and whatnot. And when you have a yellow item, you can, like this one, if you go to Una, you can disenchant. And in one act, there's always someone who can disenchant and always someone who can buy or sell. Disenchanting gives you shards. Like a blue item gives you always transmutation shards, and a yellow item always a regal shard. A regal shard is used to make an item yellow. A transmutation shard is used to make him blue. So yellow for yellow, blue for blue. You need 10 of those to become a regal orb. And the same for transmutation shards. When do you want to disenchant and when do you want to sell items? There is a general rule of thumb what you can do. So at the start you really need regal orbs. So you want to sell yellow items. You want to always sell for gold the blue items. You can pick up everything, there's a lot of them, and they make somewhat of money, right? This 470, it's not bad. And this one, obviously it costs more because it's yellow and it has a lot of mods. But the regal shard is just more important for you at the start, so you can craft better items. When you want to sell items and you think it's a really good item, there is also one option. There is a trade website. You can go into the trade website, pathofexile.com/trade2, and then you will be faced with search function, and you can, for instance, search for item category, any helmet, let's say, and the game will list you helmets for a specific price. And this tool is your biggest friend. You can really have a head start with this tool. I will maybe explain it in another video how to use it thoroughly, because there's a lot of settings you can do, a lot of filters you can do, and how to use this can be a bit overwhelming. We already went through the most basic crafting, but besides gear you also need gems. Gems are pretty much the skills you can use. There's 3 types of gems: support gems, spirit gems, and there is skill gems. So skill gems are the skills you can use the whole time. So this is all skill gems, which you can see down here. So for instance, one skill is my freezing shard, which is my right click. This is an example of a skill. And what you can do is right click on your skill gem and you will face a screen like this. At the start you only have a level 1 skill gem, so you will only have one of those 4 enabled, or you can craft one of those 4. And in all gems you can look at all the other gems which are not specified for the occult, or you can go through them one by one like this. But yeah, I usually go to all gems because I want to look at everything, and this is, for me, it's better. I don't know, all level 1 gems here or level 3 gems here. And here what you can do is you can click on a gem and engrave it. Let's say we want to engrave, I mean, I need to upgrade my frost bomb, but I will not upgrade it for demonstration purposes. Let's say we engrave spark, and then we get something like this. So when we click on it, it automatically opens this menu, but if it doesn't, there is the button G for it. So you can click G, you open this place, and you can socket it in. And when we socket it in, we have spark here. Now the small circles right here, these are assisting gems, support gems. These assist our spark. So our spark, we can modify it with, like, the projectiles can get faster, or we can make it so that I don't know, there's more projectiles, or we have whatever, like a lot of things you can pick. So therefore we right click on our support gem, and now it says, what do you want to support? So we want to support spark, and the game recommends us, hey, you could do this, this, this. Normally it's enabled here, we can ignore this, but it gives us some support gems we could pick from. Piercing is really nice to begin with. We can also go to all gems just to create one. To create one, you need to have specific requirements. If we go down here, we probably don't have every requirement, I'm not sure. Okay, we can do everything actually, but you might need a specific requirement like 50 dexterity to use this, or like, I don't know, a specific level. And yeah, if you don't have it, it's gonna be grayed out just like this. We want to go for pierce, for instance, so this can pierce targets, or we can like search for lightning maybe, because it's a lightning skill, and see, hey, +1 level of support lightning gems. So I would put pierce maybe, or like projectile speed, so maybe acceleration, right? So I can engrave it, and what I do now is put it into the spark. So let's check. This is the normal speed, and now we engrave this. This is the new speed. As you can see, it's traveling much faster. And this is how you can like modify your items to become a lot stronger. But also mind, 34 mana. It costs 34 mana here, but if we put this, cost multiplier 120%, so it gets 40 mana. So it gets a bit more pricey. So if we put it out again, we can see 34, and here it says 40. And lastly, we have spirit gems, which are buffs, and these buffs you can use to make your character stronger. What buff do I use? Arctic armor for me right now, and cast on freeze, and also life remnants. So 3 buffs I have open. So there is a lot of buffs we can make use of. For instance, cast on critical. This is when every time you crit, it's gonna trigger the skills which are inside this cast on critical. We could maybe make use of it, or we could use blasphemy. It's like you have curses, but instead of self-casting curses like this, we have an aura which casts the curses for us. I have spirit here, 6 out of 156. This is because I'm already using Arctic armor, right? This uses a lot. Then I have like custom freeze. This also uses like 50 or 60 or something. Yeah, 60. This is how you can suck at it and make use of it. So for blasphemy, we want to use our frostbite, right? We have frostbite, we can put it inside here. And now our blasphemy is automatically gonna cast hypothermia, so frostbite. And this is how you can combine everything together. So we're making use of hypothermia with blasphemy, and then we can walk around and automatically curse people. We sadly don't need it for our build here, but this is a way how you could theoretically do it. This is all about gems you need to know. If you cannot use some gems, look at your level, look at the requirements, and then you should be good to go. So another thing I should talk about is the skill tree. So the skill tree is like very overwhelming when you start out. It's actually not that difficult as it looks like. So for the skill tree, depending on your class, you're gonna start on either of those points where you can see the pluses. So I have the witch, and the sorceress, I believe, also starts up here. But if you go for the monk, you will start, for instance, here. Or if you go for the ranger, you will start here. And therefore you have like specific skills, like the ranger probably is gonna use a lot of arrows and crossbow, whatnot. So it's a lot of projectiles, so they have projectiles. Or they want to evade a lot of things, so they have evasion. So evasion, movement speed, projectile, everything you can find in this corner. Everything which has to do with mages, you can find somewhere up here. Because why? We have our mages, or witch and sorceress up here. And since it's witch and sorceress, witch can also have, or is meant to have, minions, because they work well with minions. So you have a lot of minion things here as well. So a general rule of thumb is, how do you start out? First of all, you're gonna select a build you want to play. So you're gonna go and check for the skill gems, and you say, for instance, okay, spark really sounds cool. So what you can see is it's spell, projectile, lightning, and duration. And then what you're gonna do, spell, lightning, and then like I'm putting the lines in between. Spell, lightning, what else, projectile. So now we are seeing already a lot of things are blinking, and everything which is blinking is something we might make use of. So this node, right, it's really useful. It has effect duration and spell damage, two things we really want. So we might think, okay, I can start maybe with a build which starts from this side. Or if you already started, for instance, like a witch or sorceress, you could maybe think of, okay, how can I get the most efficient here? So maybe go something like up here, there is spell damage. Then we could go right side and grab this up here. And then maybe we could go here, go up, and then get the spell damage for crits. I mean, at the start, maybe you're not gonna use critical strikes, so maybe you wanna pick this later, and then you can see, okay, more area of effect and whatnot. So you can look around, see what's blinking, and see what might help you. So I would maybe path for this one. It's penetration of lightning resistance, or I would go for this one. A big chunk of spell damage. You have a little less cast speed, but I think it's worth. And then you could go for crit for spells, and then like keep on doing like keep on searching like this. Like you could also search for elemental, right? And suddenly these pop up as well. So you have a lot of choices you can go for, and this is the most or the easiest way to get around like how you're gonna find things and how you want to path. So you can think, okay, maybe going up here and then up here to get the crit stuff, get some more crit here like I did, and then get this node here, and then I could maybe go, well, if I go here, I can give a point here, go up here, take those elemental things, right? And all of this together, like if you just have a filter like this, you will have like a really simple way to navigate through and see what you want. For instance, this node I really like. It's the left side is reduced projectile speed, but then the right side is increased projectile speed and more additional projectiles, so you can go for these. And then you also have additional projectiles right here, and then you can go for these, and instead of what it says fires 11 projectiles, it would fire maybe 2 more, so that means we have 13 projectiles, which is huge because each projectile is dealing its own damage, right? And this is how I would navigate through the skill tree. Obviously, you also need some resistances or some survivability. For survivability, for instance, I went a lot of energy shield here. We have 600. This is enough for me because I can overheal. And for a mage, you maybe want to go armor plus energy shield or something like that, or only energy shield, right? So there's a few ways you can get some resistances. And maybe I want to go now for the recouped as life. So if I take damage, I can heal up here. And it's really nice. You have to find a balance between I deal a lot of damage and I survive. Because if you don't survive, there is no point in dealing damage if you die in one shot. So what you really want to do is find a way how you can make your character be more useful. Now, I would like to get into the acts. You want to progress through the acts. There is a few things which make everything a lot more easy for you. So you start off in a city. A city has the symbol here. You can also see all the symbols right here. Town means this, right? So you can see town here, boss encounter, upgrade, whatever, right? So what is really interesting for us is the upgrades with a plus, because they are permanent. A permanent upgrade is, let's see, Beira of the Rotten Pack in Clearfell, it says right here, right? So we need to go to Clearfell and search for this guy. This is very important for us. And then we have Mud Barrows, right? The Devourer, he gives us some money, I think, only, but like other bosses, you don't have to do, not necessarily. The Devourer, I think, is mandatory to proceed. The most important things are the monsters with the pluses. Get all of them, because all the upgrades are really, really useful. What we can mention here is we get Spirit in Act 1, we get Spirit in Act 3, and we get Spirit in Act 6, which is Cruel Act 3. This is the most important upgrades you want, and then there is 2 weapon set passive skill points. What I did is again a rule of thumb. When I killed a boss and when I leveled up, I would go back to the town to get some rewards if I was too weak. If I wasn't weak, I would keep on going to the next zone, keep on going as much as I can until I get blocked by a mission where I need to go to the town. And then when I went back to town, let's say we were in the Grim Tangle, did the Grim Tangle here, killed Ervig. As you can see, I didn't kill him. And then we are stuck here. I would then give all my quests here, and then I would search for rare minion if I play minion build, or search it here again and check for clothing. And this one, for instance, I would definitely take. And if you click on C for character, your resistances can be kept only to 75, so you cannot maybe make all of them 75, but having maybe all of on 30 or 40 or maybe 20 even, it will give you a significant boost on the damage you take. So you won't get a lot of damage, and you will have a lot more survivability. I will just also tell you what I did in Act 1. I always pick all non-white items. The blue items I would sell to the vendor, and the yellow items I would, if I cannot use them, if they're useless for me, disenchant them. This is what I did throughout the whole act. When I found white items, let's say white boots, and we don't have any boots, let's say something like this. This is a blue, but it really doesn't matter. Let's take this. So I found it. Imagine it's white, and I did it first this one, and then I did this one. I got 2 stats. I word it because anything is better than nothing. So you start off with anything. Later on, you go for the desired stats, like you want movement speed, you want maybe a little bit of armor, you want maybe a little bit of resistances, or you really need mana. Go for mana, right? So this was the Act 1 for me. We have Act 2. In Act 2, there is, I think, not much besides one thing, which is the trial. This is when you can ascend. Besides that, you want, so first off, you want these points. Points are really important. And just proceed through the whole area, get all the passive points you can get, and you can get like some resistance here. It's really important. And then you have an underground section. You cannot get anything here, but you can maybe get spirit gems and whatnot from these monsters, so this is not bad. And the most important thing is the trial of Ascendancy. This is your first trial. I will have a specific video of this, how the trial looks like. We cannot go to the trial from here. We need to go to the waypoint, and then Act 2, trial, and then you can enter the trial. After you put something in here, you will find it in the Traitor's Passage, what you want in here. So you go room through room and kill a boss at the ending, and that's about it. How to access this trial is you're going to the Traitor's Passage, and inside the Traitor's Passage, which is this, there is one boss, Balbala, and this Balbala guy gives you the entrance to the trial. And you have infinite tries, so don't worry if you fail. And you can also drop relics to make your survivability. After you put something in here, you have some space. You can put everything what is in here in there and make you survive for longer. So for Act 3, you also find the other trial. This gives you your second Ascendancy. So when you start off, this is gonna be empty, but I'm a witch, and a witch can become a blood mage, for instance, or an infernalist. I picked blood mage. So you get a new tree here and Ascendancy points. These are special points which can only be used here. You have some specialty which makes you usually really strong. Blood mage has some downsides, but if you get it to work, it can be really strong. This is an Ascendancy, and this is what you want to aim for really fast if you can do it, because it usually gives you a big power spike. And in Act 3, as I said, you have another trial, the Temple of Chaos. In the Temple of Chaos, up here, you go room by room, and you finish the ultimatum. The ultimatum is like a room by room challenge where you have to pick a modifier which makes the game more difficult. And you have to go through 5 rooms. A very important thing here is you can select a venom 3 venoms here. If you select the right, so there is like an ailment venom, a stun threshold venom, and mana regen venom. I really need mana regen. If you don't know what to take, start off with mana regen, it's never wrong. But then you have also passive points here, and you also have spirit. This is the most important thing because you want to run auras, the ones up here, right? And that's about it for Act 3. It's like a very long act, and then you just rinse and repeat. Act 1, the same thing. But besides, everything is the same. Besides, you don't get spirit here, you get passive points, and you always go through the same thing. You get the Una's loot and whatnot, and like just repeat the same thing. And you should be on a at this point. You should be on a level where you almost one-shot everything. Like you run through really fast. You should be really strong. In Act 2, you shouldn't be that strong, but you should have some item which help you out, like as I showed you in the vendors. And in Act 3, you should already start getting really strong, else you're gonna have a really big struggle because the monsters don't die and they are a lot of bigger packs. Here you want a lot of rare items, so all of your items should be like yellowish, right? I still have a blue item and I'm on maps. It's sufficient. It has a resistance. I don't need anything more. Something like this, which gives you like a lot of cold spell skills and whatever. And then when you get to the end game, you have a big map and you can run waystones. And every time you click on these, like I'm here right now, you can go from point to point and use your waystones to grind these points. There is like maps and you kill the monsters in it, and then you can proceed to the next area. That's about it for all the maps. But yeah, this is I think everything I need to talk about if you want to get into the game. If I forgot something, you can mention it in the comments maybe, and I will speak about it. And if you have something that you think I could improve on, feel free to tell me. And yeah, that's about it. Maybe you want to come over. I'm on twitch.tv/tacos5334. I usually stream Path of Exile 2. I want to grind and get my headhunter. It's a really nice item, so I would be happy if you come here. Thank you.